I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.
Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to chapter 10, She Got Floored. And a lot's been going on this past couple weeks, and I have gotten a lot of progress done thanks to some help from some friends. First of all, look at those beautiful bushes. Don't they look amazing? Thank you, Daniel from Trinity Outdoor Services. He came and trimmed up my bushes beautifully. And while he was here, his girlfriend, Kayla, came along because she wanted to help me on the bus. And so we got a lot done on the flooring, and she helped me out with that. And then later that week, my mom came and visited, but you won't get to see mom till next week. You get to see Kayla this week, but not mom till next week. And I had another guest come and help, another person come and help, and you're going to get to see her next week. So what you see here is me starting off by preparing the surface. I had to do some wire brushing first to get the surface ready and prepared for the wood to be put down. I don't have on camera me actually doing the painting part of this step and process, but I do move on to actually undercoating the piece of wood. Now, this was a Rust-Oleum undercoating paint, and I'll show you the can here in just a few seconds. But I put this on the bottom of all the boards that I put down. I did have some good advice from a friend. There it is, I'm showing you the can. But I do have a link in my comments as well. Basically, this is a rubberized undercoating to protect the surface of the wood underneath, and it's a waterproofing basically, because when that wood is up against the frame, there's water that'll get exposed to it, and we don't want that wood to rot. So we painted this side of the wood to be rubberized undercoating so that we will protect that wood once we put it down. I did get some good advice from someone who said don't paint or coat both sides of the wood with a rubberized surface, because it will cause the wood not to breathe, and there's moisture in the wood, and that'll cause the wood to rot. So you only want to rubberize one side of this board, and not I was going to put red guard on the top, but they said it would be best for the wood to breathe. So I'm not doing that. I'm just going to put the undercoating on the one side, and then I will actually install the boards. So you will see me move into the process of actually installing the boards next. So this board is the first board going down, and I was really excited about doing that. So I'm putting a bead of caulking down first, so that I can make sure that there's a good seal for the board when it goes down against those metal struts. And I'm very happy with the process and how it all came together and how well this piece of wood fit in. You can see that I have already painted all the whole cab area. I do have a video about that. I'll probably put it in next week's video just so you can see how it looked. Next week's gonna be a little bit more of bits and pieces, because I had a big week of rain last week and didn't get much time. I'm actually screwing in a screw at the end of the caulking tube so that I can save that caulk. You get a long screw and put it in the back of the caulking, or put it in the end of the caulking tube, and that helps keep your caulk from drying out. So that's what I was showing you on the video there. Now I put the floor down, and I will start actually I will start by I stomp it down first, and then I go and get the drill, and I pre-drill the first couple holes, and it worked really well with that. And I tried to do, and you'll see in a little bit that I tried to do where I just put the self-tapping screws in, and without pre-drilling it, I was checking for some holes for something, a mounting bracket. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't covering up something I didn't need to access later, so that's what I was checking for. But I started by pre-drilling the first couple holes, and then I tried to do the self-tapping, and it did not work out well. So I just ended up in the latter part of everything, just pre-drilling all the holes of the boards later on. This one I didn't do it as much, and I did try to do the actual self-tapping screws, and you see I'm struggling with it a little bit there because these screws did not want to self-tap really well. So they were good screws, it's just they didn't want to do the self-tapping as easily as I would have liked it to be done. So I did struggle with it a little bit. So But I did eventually get all the screws in and got it in good and tight, and I think you'll see me I'm not sure, but I think I do have to take it up again and trim off a bolt that did not get trimmed off. I think I did it before I put the board down, but it was a good process, and I did find out that I'm going to have to seal that back up again really good, because there's a lot of heat that comes from underneath the undercarriage when you're driving, and it gets almost unbearably hot. So I will have to insulate underneath that floor with some spray foam, and I'll put it on panels on the front of that whole section. There were panels there before, but they were so rotted that it did not work out well. So that's what I'm doing. Just finishing up the floor, and I'm gonna I did work on later on putting parts of the cab back together. I didn't put the whole cab back together because I want to kind of preserve the dash parts, because I have them painted now, and I don't want to get everything in there and get them all dirty while I'm still doing some teardown stuff. So I didn't put all those in right now, but I did put enough in so that I could drive it to get the rest of the boards for the flooring. So I did do that. Still working on the door for the side doors, but I have to get some other equipment or get access to some other equipment to be able to finish them. So they're kind of on hold for a little bit. I just have a piece of plastic draped over the bus to keep it from getting wet on the inside from that door not being there. But I'm not going to go back to the old doors, so I know that for sure. Okay, so I'm going to probably transition to the next part, which is going to be me actually starting to tear up the next section of flooring. Oh, there's more screws to go. Okay, and now you see me moving into actually transitioning to trying to remove the flooring. And at the beginning of this, I was really struggling quite a bit because it was hard to find all the screws that were in the boards, because they were so rusted and they were blending in with the actual boards. And some of them were so rotted around, some of the wood was so rotted around it was hard to find and difficult to find. And if you didn't find every single screw, it became very difficult to get these boards out. So you're going to see me get frustrated right here and kind of beat the board a little bit to try and get that screw loose. And I finally did, and you see the fruit of my labor. This is Kayla, and Kayla came along to help me out to get some of the flooring up, and she just came along to help with whatever she could help with, and she actually helped me measure out the next section of board, and she also helped me pull up the floor and treat it for rust. So she didn't get to see the end product, but she did come and help quite a bit. And what you see me doing there is I'm going through and I'm grinding the heads off of some of the screws that were stripped out. So I took those off so that we could get the boards up. And Kayla didn't like the sparks. And Kayla was there because her boyfriend runs a lawn service, and his name is Daniel Michael, and he is Trinity Outdoor Services in Charlotte, North Carolina. He does an excellent job, and what I'll do is one of my intros for this chapter, I'm going to stand out in front of my bushes and show you the quality of work that he does. He is an excellent landscaper and does tree work, and I'm very grateful to him and appreciate his services. I've hired him a couple times for jobs, and he's done an excellent job. So what you see me doing there is wire brushing the actual framework before we treat it for rust. And next you'll see Kayla and I come in after I sand a little bit here. Then Kayla and I will come in and do the rust treatment. In the next step here, we're treating for rust now. We're painting on the rust treatment, and then that sits for a while, and then I'm going in and working on the floor. So when I pulled up this section of flooring, what I found was there was a piece of metal that was not connected properly. So I wanted to connect it properly because they were just kind of hanging loose. So I joined them together with some clamps and got out a drill, pre-drilled some holes, and then You'll see next that I will actually get out my pop rivet gun, and I put some rivets in this just to hold it together, because that's really the best thing to use here. If I put nuts and bolts, that would have shook loose during the vibrating of the driving of the truck, and there's a lot of vibration in the framework, so I wanted to use pop rivets versus screws or bolts. So that's what I'm doing there. So putting in some pop rivets, if I can ever get the case open. And I put about 4 pop rivets in this thing, and it worked really well, and it's holding together quite nicely now. I didn't do any kind of paint or treatment on that. It just wanted to join it together so it didn't hang loose. So that's what I'm doing there, and you'll see me just run a few pop rivets in. Thankfully, I don't have to do a lot of pop rivets, and I haven't had to do a lot of metal work other than to do the wire brushing and rust treatment. So I'm grateful for that. And honestly, if you look at that framework, you can see it's really solid, and it just had a lot of surface rust, so we treated all that surface rust and got it where it was able to be used. And after that is paint. The paint is there to seal the metal and keep it from rusting anymore. So we did the rust treatment to get rid of the rust, then we did the paint to seal the rust and so that it won't rust again. And then we of course treated the bottom of the board. Now, while I was waiting for paint to dry, I moved on to starting to work on the area where finding all the screws, and I put some WD-40 on it to try and encourage them to come out naturally, but of course that didn't happen. I also trimmed the board a little bit, and now I'm putting down caulk before I lay the board in place. And then put the board down, get it in place, and then I used the metal bar there to be able to line up my holes straight across the bars, and then put the screws in. I pre-drilled them first and then put the screws in. Then I'll go back to grinding off the heads of the other screws, because I found that was the easiest, quickest way to do it. Especially the ones that I'd go around and I would try to get the ones out first. I took that board back up because there was a screw head that was not cut off, so I had to get that cut off, and then it actually laid flat like it was supposed to. So I went in and finished the job, but I only did the grinding on the ones that I couldn't get to come out by normal means, and so I had to get the grinder and grind all the heads off of the ones that I couldn't get to turn because they were so rusted. And here and I'm going to move into cutting the board for the next section that I had been working on. What you see me cutting out is a notch right there for the only obstruction that I had in the whole bus, which is the fuel intake place for refueling the van. She has a diesel fuel intake place, and I had to cut out a notch for that. And then I'm trimming the excess off the board so that it will fit in the space that it's supposed to be in. Because I wanted to finish it out with like a 48-inch piece, almost a full sheet of plywood. So I trimmed this piece down because it was just a little bit short of 48 inches. And I love my little jigsaw. She's really super. She has a laser beam there that helps me stay straight. So I'm able to make pretty straight cuts with her. So I was not really crucial. Now you can see the layout of that floor. I don't have wheel wells, which is wonderful. I just have that one little spot for the fuel intake that was an obstruction, but everything else is just a flat level space. So when I start building, that's not going to be in the way. Okay, so what you do is you're seeing me trim that board now in this section. I took it out and just cut another 1/4 inch off of it, and then it just fit perfectly in place where it needed to go. So that's what I'm doing right there with my handy dandy little jigsaw with a cool little laser beam out there to help me keep a straight line. It actually does a pretty dang good job of cutting a relatively straight line. It's not perfect, but it does a good job. So this is after I've trimmed that piece, and I'm coming in and refitting that piece. And this is actually the next section of flooring that I had taken up after Kayla left. I worked on it by myself, and I got the board cut out, and put it in place just to dry fit it, and I noticed it wasn't fitting right, so I had to take it back. I picked up that little jigsaw at pawn shop. I love my little pawn shop in downtown Kings Mountain. It is really a great place to go buy some used tools. And this grinder and the jigsaw is what I picked up at the tool shop or the pawn shop, and they are both really high quality tools that I got for a really good price. There I go painting on the rust treatment. This is the fast forward version of let's fix the floor. And I'm starting now on prepping the next piece of wood to get it ready to pull it up off the floor. This is the last piece of wood I had to pull up, of rotten wood. The thing is I did not use these pieces as models for what I was going to cut out. I just basically measured the wood and cut new. Hey, my face doesn't look that bad, but my arms do. You can tell where my gloves were. Wow. I am here to tell you that not only did I get the last piece of flooring out, but I have also got the radiator hoses out without spilling without spilling too much fluid out. I'm going to show you what's going on. So the last piece of flooring is out. I've already wire brushed it. That's how I got so dirty. And hopefully this is the last, well, I still have to do the wall, but one of the last times I'm going to have to wire brush metal frame. I got the ceiling and the walls to go, but that's going to be nothing compared to this. This floor was dirty and it was rusty, and it is cleaning up, and it's cleaning up nicely. I've got everything out now, and I can put the last piece of flooring in. I'm trying to do that today before it rains. We still have some blue skies, so I'm hoping to get that done. So just giving a little update. I kind of skipped forward on this. This is actually me painting the flooring, and you see that I have the heater out already, so I'm gonna have to skip, but I'm actually painting the last section of flooring. This was really kind of gratifying to be able to get this done, because yeah, it's the last piece, and it's really, I'm grateful that I got all this done in pretty much 1 week. It's a lot of work for one person to do pretty much by themselves, but I did have Kayla's help, and then later on in another part of the week I had my mom's help, but that won't come out till next week's episode, so you will get to meet my mom and dad. I have them on the next episode, and they came out and my mom helped me with some other projects, so you'll get to see that next week. So you're going to see me finish up painting here, and then we'll move on to the next task. So this is me actually dry fitting the last piece of wood to go in the flooring for the subfloor, and it didn't quite fit right, and I was so tired that day I had to stop. Hey y'all, thank you for joining me on my channel. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. This is Adventura. She's shaping up every day. She's getting a little bit further along, and I couldn't have done a lot of that without the help I've had in the last week and a half. I've had 3 people come by and help me out, and it has been huge and tremendous. I'm going to show you some of that in next week's video, but this week I got the floors done. It looks amazing. You'll get to see that. I just bolted down the last piece of wood this morning, and this is well after I've already been working on the video, so this is going to go on the end of the video. But I just wanted to say that it takes a community to get things done. Sometimes you need a community to get healed. And in healing Adventura, I needed a community to get the job done. And I actually get more done when I have the help. And it helps me to get more organized, more accomplished, and it always helps to have a helping hand. And so it's a good thing to have somebody else there. And transformation can get dirty and messy. We've had to go through a lot of dirty, messy things to get to the bones of this situation. But I'm going to tell you, Adventura's got some good bones, and she is looking great. And I'm very grateful to all the help that I've had over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I just want to give a shout out to Kayla Sullivan and Daniel Michael of Trinity Outdoor Services for this week's video. They were the helpers that I had that week, and then I had my mom later that week, but I'm going to feature her next week. So you'll get to meet Mom and Dad next week. Thank you for coming by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you all for taking time to stop by. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Y'all come back now.
Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.